Hi, hello, and welcome to the second episode of the WIPs and Whimsy podcast. My name is Zenith, my pronouns are they, them, and I am happy that you are here with me, whether it's your first time or whether you're returning. Today is Thursday, March 27th. It's a wonderful spring day. I am loving the warmer weather. I am loving the spring vibes. My body is not. My allergies are acting crazy, and that sucks. But otherwise, we're having a great time. I hope that you've had a wonderful week. I know that I have. With the spring weather, I get to see the friends of mine who I maybe don't see as much in winter when the roads are bad, when it's snowing all the time. So it's been really great. I spent last weekend hanging out with a whole bunch of people that I hadn't seen in months. My friend Brandon and I actually, who I had not seen since January, went on a little mini road trip because there was a bookstore he wanted to see that was a couple hours away. But I happened to be friends with somebody who works at the bookstore, so I got to see my friend Gabrielle as well, who I had not seen since like October or something. It had been a hot minute. So I got to do that. I made Brandon drive on Friday so that I could do all of the knitting in the car. And then the tea was spicy, so I spent most of the car ride just like holding half of a heel flap because I was like, I can't count and listen to the story, and I need to count this heel, as you do when you take socks with you and you have to do heels. I also spent Saturday catching up with one of my other friends on Zoom, got to do a couple of hours of knitting there, and then on Sunday I restarted therapy, and so my original therapy blanket is right here. This is the Vortex shawl pattern. It's a free pattern. And I just decided to make it larger and use all of my scraps. And I worked on this all of 2024. It was not just in therapy, but for many months, the only time I worked on it was every other week when I was meeting with my therapist. My other blanket has now become my therapy blanket. I'm working on it at other times as well, but it's like, if I am sitting down for therapy, that is going to be my project. And that's working out really well for me. So that has kind of been my week. Yes, that has kind of been my week. There's some other stuff I want to talk about, other lifey things that I want to go over, but I think I will wait until the end of the episode to get into that. I hope that you are settling in. I hope you have, something to drink, something to work on. We are going to kick it right off. Let's go into the pig parade. If you are new here, I love to knit tiny amigurumi. I specifically love to knit tiny pigs, and I have so many pigs and so many things that are not pigs, but I will call pigs in this episode to show you. First of all, behold my babies, my little children, my little piggies. I have 3 little piggies and they are delightful. This little piggy is going to go into the stockpile, which I can actually show you. This is my stockpile. It looks like it should be full of Christmas cookies. Guess what it's full of? Pigs. I love this. This is my one true energy. Like this video if this is also your one true energy. And there's also today, ladies and gentlemen, and other folk, there's a pig escaping the stockpile. One of my coworkers, his name is Lewis. He is newer. He got his own desk today at work. He has been in training. And I said, oh my God, I can make a pig for you now. And he said, I like blue. And I said, I already have a blue pig. So this pig is coming out of the stockpile and is going to my coworker, Lewis. And then this piggy is going into the stockpile for a later date. And then I have these 2 babies. This chartreuse one is my favorite. This is the lettuce tonal yarn from Black Sheep Fiberworks. They're out of, I believe, New Hampshire. It is my favorite color, and I think it is a crime that they do not sell 100-gram fingering weight skeins of this color. You can only get it as a mini. Ask me how many times I bought the mini because it's such a good green. Look at this green. Look at it. Look at the little baby. This is the most, this color is a crime against God in the best way possible, and I love that, and I think that we should just, I want like whatever the yarn equivalent is of a bolt of yarn, that's what I want. And then this one is for my supervisor, or not my supervisor, a supervisor at work who came up to me today and said, hey, are you still crocheting? And I don't have it in me to correct anyone on knitting and crochet. Like, they're excited about something that I'm excited about, and therefore I don't care. And I said, yes, I've been making tiny pigs. And he said, oh my God, can I have one? And then remembered he was a supervisor and said, you don't have to do that. And I said, yes, I'm going to make you a pig now. So this is going to go to the supervisor, John Henry. I'm very thrilled with that. We also, in tiny pigs that are not actually tiny pigs, but they are part of the pig parade, I have a project I forgot to show you last week. And that is my string of chili peppers. I'm so excited about these. I don't remember the name of the designer for this, so I will put it down below. But look at these tiny little silly little chili peppers. Basically, okay, you know the people who knit a lot of socks and they have all this leftover sock yarn and they decide they should make blankets with it? I love this energy for all of them. But I do make blankets. But I want chili peppers. This looks like a necklace. Sorry. Anyway, so I'm making myself a string of chili lights or chili peppers with just like all the leftover scrap yarns that I did. So these are the last 3 pairs of socks that I made. Actually, the last 4. Because the last one I made, please pardon the dog, my roommate just got home and he's very excited. He loves her and only her. I also made this chili pepper. This one is from my most recent pair of socks. This is the Sanderson colorway of Knit Picks Felice. I love it. We have little chili peppers. So, those are my piggies. Oh, wait. There's one more. I'm going to have to put it on the screen. When I was hanging out with Brandon on Friday, I gave him a piggy, and he has decided that it lives inside his car now. So please behold, please behold that pig. I love that thing. So that is my small tiny objects. I have the 2 pigs going to work. I don't know if I said this. This little chartreuse baby, which is the best color in the world. I know I said that. That is going onto my desk. I'm very excited to own this. I forgot I had some scraps of this. I know that I have a 20-gram mini skein, but I have plans for that. So I forgot that I had extra and then got very excited going through my scraps yesterday and said, oh my God, I can have a chartreuse pig. So now I have a chartreuse pig. Anyway, moving right along to WIPs, because I have no finished objects other than all my small tiny things, but I feel like they don't really count because they're half an hour. They don't take that much time. But moving on to actual works in progress, first things first, of course, socks in my usual sock bag that my friend Kaylee made me. I finished the first sock except for the toe because I work kind of in tandem. What I like to do is like the cuff, leg, heel, foot, and then cut the yarn and stop and then do the second sock. And I put in stitch markers every 10 rows. And then when I start, also this is where we left off. Here's a little crab. When I go to do the second sock, I just move the markers, right? And then I know how many rows I need to do. And then when I finish the feet of both, I just kind of sit down and just do both of the toes at once and then say, look, I finished a pair of socks, which is very exciting. So these are size 1 Flexi Flip needles. These are, the contrast color is North Pole Heather in Stroll Tweed by Knit Picks, and then the main color is also Stroll Tweed, and this is Barn Door Heather. And I think that is all I have to say about that. I did my standard vanilla recipe, so 10 rounds for the cuff of 2x2 ribbing, 30 for the leg, standard slip stitch heel, and then I did 65 rounds for the leg, because that is what I like. I like a snug sock. So that is that. My next one, all the other projects you're going to see, I did an oopsie and I moved the stitch markers because I had already filmed this and I was like, obviously this is great. And then I watched back the footage and I was like, no, actually no, which is also why I don't have contact links. So I was like, I'm done filming. I can take those out now. And then said, I'm not done filming. I'm starting. So it's fine. The next project, if your name is Jay and you work with me, you should skip ahead a couple minutes I will maybe edit in the timestamp of when you should skip ahead to. I know that you said you don't watch this. I just think you're lying. But I'm not going to tell you to your face. To everyone else, I have a coworker named Jay. I adore him. He's one of my favorite people in the world. And he asks me about my podcast every day that I see him. He's my biggest supporter. And then I'm like, what did you think of the episode? And then he says, I'm not watching that. I don't even remember what it's called. How many views do you have, though? So, is he watching? I don't know. He's my biggest fan. But I don't know. Anyway, Jay is also like one of the most knit-worthy people in my life, which means he gets all the things. Because it's such a joy to knit for him. His desk is covered with things. I gave him the little baby tardigrade that was featured on last week's episode because his family dog unfortunately had to be put down last week. So I was like, you know, I can't help you with your dog dying, but I can give you a tiny tardigrade. And everyone all week has been roasting it, which is fine. We can make fun of my knitting, whatever. Anyway, the yarn for this project, I'm definitely doing this super slow in case Jay is still watching. The yarn for this is Oyster Heather in Knit Picks palette, and I'm just keeping it on this little Lazy Susan here because this project does not leave my room. And this project continues to look like a woolly mammoth or elephant took a shit on my front yard and then left it out all winter in the snow. But what it actually is a tardigrade. And, oh, I didn't move the stitch marker. You can see exactly how much work I got done on it. Look at that. So I got like 1 inch done, which doesn't seem like that much, but then you remember that this is on size 1 magic loop. I actually did quite a bit. Thank you. So that's my tardigrade. That's all I have to say about that. It's the Steve the Tardigrade pattern. I'm going to put all my patterns right here because I know myself and I'm not going to remember to tell you what the patterns are. But like, you deserve to know. You, the people, deserve to know what the patterns are. And hopefully editing Zenith will even remember like how to put a background on it so you can read it when I'm wearing a black and white shirt. By the way, go Connecticut Suns. Okay, the next pattern. This is my project bag. And it is definitely supposed to be a cosmetics bag from my favorite local goth clothing store, Dye With Your Boots On in Salem, Massachusetts. And I love it. I got it last summer and it's my shawl bag. If you see this bag, it's probably for shawls. And this is my Kalara. I moved the project keeper so you can't see how far I got on it compared to last week. But it's going. I'm obsessed with this pattern. I wish I wore wraps because I would make like 10 of them and I would wear them every day. But I am not a wrap person. That's not my energy. I like to have my sleeves rolled up. I like to wear flannel. I don't want to wear a wrap. I don't want to dress in any sort of like, smart casual. Like, no, thank you. And that makes me sad because this is really great. I don't remember what needle size this is, but I can tell you the yarns are, the darker color is Raven from Blue Barn Fibers and Squishy Sock. And the other color is from Emma's Yarn. I forget what the colorway it is. I think it's just like, it's like January 24 or something. I don't remember. Don't quote me on that exact month. I just know that it's like something from Emma's sock. And I want this pattern to be done so I can use that yarn in an upcoming sock project. The only other project I worked on this week is the blanket that is now going to be my therapy blanket. I made this using Stroll in the color black and an advent that my parents gave me from Mermaid's Pearl, which is it's like a fade. So you can see it. You can see my giant blankie here. I love this thing. I love working on it. It's just, we love a good garter stripe. We love anything that's just purling. We're doing great. I purl all of my stuff because I prefer it to knitting. I had moved the project keeper, so you can't see that I did like a ton of work on this, but I did like a ton of work on this. Okay, thank you. I love everything about this. This is another project that like doesn't really leave my room. So I'm just keeping it in a basket. So I have the stroll to close it out, and I also have the rest of the minis just all wound into one cake to keep things nice and easy and organized. These are all of my favorite colors. I am very much like blues and greens and teals are my colors. So this is all like, I'm going to be having a good time with this project from here on out. And I basically have to like make myself like not just work on my blanket. So that is that. The next thing I want to talk about is yarn. Let's talk about upcoming projects. We've got some good ones upcoming. I do want to be very clear. Most of this basket is filled with a blanket because I want it to look full. Not for this video. In general, I want this to look full when I look at it at any point that it's in my room. But I also don't actually want it to be full of yarn because I will feel very anxious. And so I purposely put a blanket in there and like keep it looking full and then just have yarn like over the top layer. Anyway, I mostly knit socks and I don't always like to make decisions like every moment of every day. I like to make decisions in advance for future me. So I use an app called Decision Roulette. I will probably post a picture of it here, or I won't, who knows. And when I do that, I use this to make socks. I know that I'm always going to make a pair of socks. I know that I'm going to finish a pair of socks and immediately start another pair of socks, right? But I don't always know what color I want to do next. So what I like to do is make little spinners and preset, like, here's the next 5 colors of socks I want to make. So that way when I finish a pair of socks, I don't have to think about it. I just spin the wheel and it's like, choose this yarn. And I'm like, thank you. Right? And so I'm doing that again. I'm setting up 2 new spinners though. I'm doing one that's just going to be socks for myself. And I'm doing another one that is just socks for other people. I have 2 important people in my life who have birthdays in June. So I figure if I set up both and just kind of stagger it like one by one, I will have all the people who have June birthdays to have socks in June. I think, going to cheat a little bit because one of the people who has June birthdays is my brother. Phil, if you're watching this, sup? And my brother's, he's going through some stuff right now. I'm not going to get into it, but he's not having a great time. And I'm just thinking that I will probably be done with my current pair of socks by Saturday. And if I get them done, it'll take me like another 2 weeks to make my brother a pair of socks, and I can just mail them off to him and be like, hey, I'm sorry that life sucks. Like, I love you. Here's a pair of socks. My brother's an incredibly knit-worthy person, and I feel like he would really appreciate that gift, and I think he'd be really touched by that. So I might do that. I might do that. The other thing, speaking of my brother and socks and yarn and stuff, Phil, if you are watching and you don't want to be spoiled, you should probably skip ahead a little bit because you're going to see the yarns. My brother really loves vibrant colors. He has a very loud personality, but not in a bad way. Like, he's loud in the sense that he is a Florida man and he is a bar musician and he just has like this very expressive fashion sense, you know? And so you can just make him like the most ridiculous looking like socks and hats ever. Like, you can make some like some Stephen West level like ridiculous neon stuff, and my brother's just like, this is the best thing I've ever received and I'll wear it every day. And I'm like, hell yes, you will. I'm gonna make you some crazy stuff that I personally would never ever wear, but would really, really enjoy making, because that is my vibe when I make stuff. Like, half the stuff I make, I'm like, I'm not going to wear that, but I'm having a great time looking at it while I'm making it, you know? So we're peas in a pod. Anyway, so I have, am I missing a yarn? Hold on. Hold the phone. Oh, it rolled away. I have a yarn that rolled away. I'll leave it over there because I don't feel like grabbing it. But I have 2 other contenders for a sock yarn for my brother, and I'm very excited about both of them because they are ridiculous and they hurt my eyeballs in a really nice way. This first one was definitely upside down. This is Vesper Sock. This is their superwash wool thick sock, Summer in the City. I'm really excited. I got this at my local yarn store and I'm excited about it. And then this one is, of course, our Lord and Savior Knit Picks. This is Knit Pick Stroll Effects in Building Blocks. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous and I love it. Actually, I am going to grab that other one. Right. This is ALC Yarns in retro tie-dye. It is already wound up. I really thought I was going to knit this yarn back in like October. And here we are in March. So maybe it's time. Maybe the Lord said, knit this one next. I also have one of my dear friends who we semi-jokingly call each other platonic partners. She has a birthday in June. So hi, Mish. Hey. If you're watching and you don't want to be spoiled about socks you may or may not receive in June, skip ahead a couple minutes. Cool. I'm going to make Mish some socks. This one, I've already made a pair of socks out of, and they are my favorite pair of socks of all time. This is from, I think it's 100 Crows or 100 Ravens. I forget which one it is, but it's definitely a Corvid. And this is the Yakish base, and this colorway is Emo Cthulhu. And I'm obsessed with it. These are the softest socks I have ever worn. They have yak in them, obviously. And they're so good. Everything about them is so delicious. They're so soft. They have the best little halo around them. Oh my god. Oh my god, they're so good. And Mish is a knitter. So she knows how to like treat her yarn well, which is great. But she is also the kind of knitter who's like, I'm never going to ever knit a pair of socks. And I'm like, good, don't. I'll make them for you. I love you. So that's going to be for me. I'm also going to make her socks in this colorway, which I don't remember the name of. I am hoping it picks up the sparkles. My birthday this year was a D&D one-shot. And I was knitting pigs the entire time. And I knit a pig in this colorway because I had some scraps of it. And I was holding it up and being like, oh my god, look at my pig. And Mish said, oh my god, that's amazing. And then put it on her laptop. And then when we finished the one shot, I had to be like, can I have that back? It's for my altar. And it's on my altar. But now I'm like, maybe I should make Mish a pair of socks in this colorway. And then I'll have some left over and make her a pig to go with it. I think that's what I'm going to do. So those are for her. The other spinner is all going to be yarn for me. I showed you 3 of them last time. So I have ALC, nope, that's not that one. I have Spruce. This is from Blue Barn Fiber, and this is on their squishy sock base. I have Glow with the Flow from ALC Yarns. Hello. This is their Lush sock base. And then from Craftily Dyed Yarns, I have Stellar. This is on their classic sock base, and this is a 50-gram skein, which is my favorite thing in the entire world. And I also want to make some more Stroll Tweed socks. I have 8 or 9 colors of Stroll Tweed, and my goal for like next fall, winter is to have just so many Stroll Tweed socks that I can just like, I just have more socks than I could possibly need. But my plan, my genius plan, is that as I make them, whatever the main color is in the pair of socks I just finished, that will become the contrast color for the next pair of Stroll socks. So they will all be kind of matching. They will all be coordinated. So the next 2 colors I've picked that I think will go well with the barn door are Lavender Field and Barley Heather. So I'm excited for these. And then the last one I have picked out for now is actually a yarn that I bought myself on my birthday. This is from Tiny Human Knits. She is based out of Canada. I love her. She does the most beautiful, beautiful self-striping yarns. This is a factory second kit. This is Goldenrod. And I think I'm going to use this as an excuse to knit the non-Euclidean sock pattern and go off of my standard vanilla and check out a different heel. The non-Euclidean sock, I will probably put a picture of it here maybe, if Editing Zenith remembers to do that. And, and the non-Euclidean sock pattern is really cool because it's just a series of increases and decreases, and so you can keep your stripes looking correct without having to change it for the heel color. And I want to check it out. I put it on my Make 9 board. I made a Make 9 board back in December, and then January hit, and I was like, I don't need to knit a single pattern from my Make 9. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to make anything on there, but my attempt My attempt is to get myself to knit the non-Euclidean socks with this yarn. If this yarn comes up and I wind it and then I say, I don't wanna, then I'm not gonna. Because this is a hobby. And I'm not gonna make myself do things I don't want to do. But I think I'm gonna try to do the non-Euclidean with that. So those are all my yarns. That is all of my, we've done works in progress, we've done life. No, we haven't done all the life things. Let's talk about how I've had the most ridiculously whimsical week this week at work. I was not expecting this. I work in a factory. I work in a factory, right? Like, I work in materials in a factory. I move pallets around all day and like close out work orders and like pack stuff for shipping. I don't pack stuff to ship it out, but I pack stuff like in terms of kitting it to give to shipping, who then packs it to ship out. That's my job. That's what I do all day. This week I've had 2 coworkers ask me for pigs, right? It's like, these 2 little babies are going to work tomorrow. And I also had, my coworker Jay has a whiteboard in his office, and people who are not Jay have decided that it is an art wall and that everyone is welcome to come draw on this whiteboard for him. It's really funny that Jay's like, I just work here. This is just my office. I don't know. And there's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle art showdown going on his whiteboard. I don't draw, so I'm not adding to this. I'm just beholding it and just thinking it's great. There's also, this is my favorite thing, one of the people who sits at my lunch table, his name is Tony. I adore him. He has a bunch of cool hobbies, which are all great. But one of them is building Gundam, and recently Jay told me that he's interested in Gundam. I told Tony. Tony decided that he and Jay are now best friends and decided to talk him into this, but he did it when other people were in the room. It was like he walked into the office with no context, no nothing, just cold open. I heard you want to hear about Gundam, so I'm going to tell you. I don't know if that's what he actually said. That's what I'm just imagining. Starts talking about Gundam, and now there's a club. There's a club for this. I'm in the club. I have joined. We're all building model kits together. One person ordered a Spider-Man. Tony, of course, already has a bunch of kits. I have ordered one of the little baby SD ones because it was on a horse, and I said I want to make a tiny little samurai on a horse that is also like a robot. I can build this, obviously. I'm good at tiny things like pigs. And yeah, and Jay had to go to Michael's on his way home and pick up a kit, and then there's somebody else who is also going to join us. So we have a group of 5 people now who are all building model kits together. I don't know how this happened. Usually my work is really dramatic, and we're not being dramatic today. We're being really, really wholesome and whimsical and just having a great, wonderful time. So that has been my week. I'm trying to think if there has been anything else I would like to say. I'm sure if there is, Editing Zenith will put in another clip right now. And otherwise, if there is no other clip, then there will just be an awkward little pause right there. That's fine. We roll with it. We're imperfect here. We believe in that. Anyway, it is getting a little bit late for me, and it's been a little bit long-winded of an episode. My goal was to do under 30 minutes. We are currently at 29. And you know what? We're probably going to take some little clips out in editing. So I'm okay with that. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a super week. And I will see you next time. Bye.